Welcome back to East Coast DNA. People may have noticed a lapse in some of the regular episodes as I've been heads down with Music PEI nominee interviews, getting ready for a trip over to the island myself. But I couldn't give the opportunity up to talk to today's guests. So people may remember reference to Victoria when I had Chris Kirby on. But I was talking to Chris the other day and I heard about this cool event that's happening while I'm away in Prince Edward Island. So, for anyone that's not going to be with me in person, there's still plenty of things to do out there on the scene. And today we have Victoria Howse here to tell us a little bit about it. So, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, first of all, I want to acknowledge the Funk Island Lab. And when we did have Chris on, we were promoting a single, but talked about things that were coming up with the organization that you've put together here. And I know that there's been a lot of things that you've been working on that in past episodes I've expressed things that I have interest in, like supporting the youth in the arts and helping them in a mentorship way, maybe, and to kind of getting out there into the music industry. And you've tackled it in a couple different ways, but maybe if you want to give people watching here a little bit of background on who you are and what led to the creation of this organization.
So my name's Victoria House. Chris Kirby is my husband. And in 2018, I guess, is kind of how it started. We did a songwriting camp in our home for Quote the Raven. The camp was targeted just for them. We had mostly friends from the industry come and stay with us, and we just wrote a bunch of songs for their new project at the time. We did another camp in 2022, I think. And we've just been kind of changing the camps every year, these songwriting camps, and we've outgrown basically being able to do them in our home.
Hmm.
In 2024, we worked with Brilliant Labs, which is an organization, a charity in New Brunswick,
Hmm.
and started kind of formalizing how we were doing our songwriting camp. So we hosted it at Salty Towers, and with the help of Investors Group, Brilliant Lab, and some support for the artist through Music Nova Scotia, we hosted kind of our first of this new format we're doing, where we bring in students, high school students, and they get to attend a professional songwriting camp with songwriters, artists who need songs, producers, professionals, like people from different musical backgrounds,
Hmm.
get to see basically and work on songs that are actually going to be used either in placements or on different albums or whatever, wherever the songs end up. So not just learning the process, but actually being a co-writer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that was really rewarding last year. And so we decided to make Funk Island Lab a non-for-profit so that we could avail of support and kind of make it a regular thing. We did it again in New Brunswick this year, just a couple weeks ago, again at Salty Towers. And both years in New Brunswick, we worked with Jamie Steele and his Winter Warmer Festival.
Hmm.
So we went ahead of time and we had a songwriting master class for the public, so anyone could submit their songs and have them critiqued by our pros who were at the camp. And then we had a songwriter circle for the artists that were attending. And then the youth got to attend both of those events as well. And then we spent 5 days writing songs, uh, cozied up in Salty Towers, which was, a lot of fun.
It sounds amazing. I'm listening as you're telling the different people that you've collaborated with on it, and I'm a fan of all of the people that you're mentioning too.
Mhm.
So good shout outs to a few very talented groups out there and some people that are doing very similar work out there. So I love seeing it. Scott out there, I've worked beside a few times in the background, and I like to see that he's doing the same type of thing on the media end,
Mhm.
giving kids kind of some mentorship and guidance to get them out there with some actual skills when they go out there, which anyone that follows my show knows that I'm a little more amateur guerrilla style with my stuff. I'm learning it as I go along. There's been an improvement over the last couple of years, but I would have loved to have had some of those opportunities when I was in high school and getting ready to go into the working world, to know that there's actual options out there to do something that you have a passion for. And I'm sure that a lot of the youth out there that are starting to pick up a guitar or piano or sing a few notes, they're probably looking for opportunities. I know that a few that we've even featured on the show, that they're always looking for anyone out there that maybe can give them a little upper hand and trying to navigate all the waters out there. It's a complicated world. It's not just the same as singing in the shower. So definitely appreciate that you're doing that. I did want to really focus on the event that you have coming up. And outside of the event itself, I think we should probably highlight some of the specific artists that you have at the event, because that is quite the stacked lineup. I'm a little
Mhm.
biased. A few of them have been on my show, but even some of the ones that have not, my interactions with them over the last couple of years have been quite pleasant. So I'm a fan of everyone that I see on that bill. But maybe if you want to explain a Lil Affair, which I get the pun in the naming, which is amazing. I love a good pun. But yeah, if maybe in your own words you want to tell people a little bit about what you have going on here.
Yeah, so I had this idea, I guess, a couple years ago when I saw a few events posted around HRM for International Women's Day, where there wasn't always a female artist performing,
Hmm.
but it was kind of, marketed as a Women's Day event, maybe like a drink special or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm there's sure there's tons of great events that do happen on International Women's Day, but this particular post that I saw got me thinking, like, why would we not have some specific events on International Women's Day that highlight female artists? And I mean, Lilith Fair did it amazingly in the late
Hmm.
90s. Um, Chris and I both grew up in rural Newfoundland, so we didn't get the opportunities like what we're trying to do with our camps. And we also didn't get to go to Lilith Fair.
Yeah.
So, but a big fan of the festival and the points that they were trying to make and that they did make and the success that they had in the late 90s. So I've always loved that kind of collection of artists and songs. And I think it was last year, I figured, we need funds for the camp to keep this going and to make it sustainable. And so I wanted to start doing some events that were fundraising events.
Hmm.
And this is the first show that I've ever produced. So I ambitiously just asked everyone who we know, we're grateful to call friends and who we're fans of. And so we're having a little affair show on March 7th at the Sanctuary Arts Center in Dartmouth, which is an absolutely beautiful venue and it sounds fantastic. And we have some amazing performances. Our artists who will be singing a couple songs each include Adina Fraser, Christine Campbell, Isabella Samson, Joce Reyome, Nicole Ariana, Roxy Mercier, Terra Spencer, and Yvette Lorraine. And they will be supported by our band, which is Mike Farrington Jr., Siobhan Martin, Claire McDonald, Nick Goche, and Chris Kirby is our band leader for the night. So it's going to be a really fun event. We're hoping to raise funds to keep the camps going and hopefully to be able to do some different kind of educational and workshop type events in the future. And we also partnered with Add Some House for this event to raise money for their organization and to collect donations for them. So they provide housing and support for women and children, and we'll have a little station set up with QR code for people to make monetary donations, and we'll be accepting small like household objects and items that folks would need to set up like a new space. So
Hmm.
that would include, well, we'd be accepting gift cards, basically of any denomination, but also small items like kitchen utensils, dishcloths, towels, face cloths, bath towels, diapers, wipes, formula, personal care items, cleaning items, and small kitchen startup items, including condiments, spices, dry goods, canned goods. So we'll have a little merch table to sell some of our merch to raise funds, but we'll also be accepting donations for Add Some House because why would we not on International Women's Day? And it's a great organization. So
Well, it's very noble to keep it going all around. Like in every aspect, there's some degree of charity or giving back. So it's nice to see that you're able to establish that and keep something going. Because like as you said too, like you do need funding for those programs. So it's nice that it's able to be done in such a way that it's keeping in kind of the spirit of the whole vision that you have going.
Mhm.
I am curious though afterwards. So I mean, you have this big event coming up. But for the rest of 2025, since we're early on in the year, can you tell me a little bit about the camps, or like, is it something that people can get involved in the foreseeable future, or is it kind of locked in with students right now?
Well, this past year we had three students, three artists, and three producers.
Mhm.
Um, we're still kind of, sorting out the details of our non-for-profit structure, and I've been applying to funds to be able to support other aspects of educational components that we were hoping to kind of lean into. Right now, we've just been doing the one camp a year in New Brunswick, but our ultimate goal all along was to be able to go to every province.
Mhm.
Uh, Chris and I moved to Nova Scotia in 2017. And after we had that first camp in 2018, we really wanted to be able to go back to Newfoundland at
Yeah.
home and do a camp at home. And we're like, well, if we're doing a camp at home and in Nova Scotia and now in New Brunswick, then hopefully PEI, like it would be nice to be able to just rotate through the provinces. So that's kind of our longer term goal.
Mhm.
Um, but for now, we have these great partners in New Brunswick, so that's kind of where we started. As for getting involved, I mean, we've had people reach out expressing interest, if they need songs, or we have, other producers who've reached out to kind of offer their help as well. So we try to get different people every year as well.
Yeah.
And Chris has been working with the New Brunswick School Board, so they actually supported the youth that came to our camp just a couple weeks ago. So all those youth were from New Brunswick, and he's been working with them doing camps outside of our Funk Island camps. So that's kind of where he's meeting some of the youth and the students that are coming through. So we're constantly evolving. Every year we've done the camps differently. We've never
Mhm.
repeated the format yet, and we take a little, what worked and what didn't work, or what would we really like to add, and we've changed it every year. And so, by having some more financial support and other groups backing us, we'll be able to kind of take the best of every year and hopefully
Mhm.
making it better each time we do it.
So, as a parent myself, I'm kind of curious from a parent perspective, but I can also remember being a teenager and, like I said, like getting ready to go out in the real world and looking for what opportunities are out there. So, if somebody wanted to follow along to kind of see what opportunities you have as things evolve in the future, where is the best place to be following you online, I guess?
Uh, well, right now, just Instagram and Facebook. Funk Island Lab is the handle for both. I'm sure that'll also grow.
Yeah.
Maybe eventually a website. We both have other jobs, so it's picking away at it slowly, but it's coming along. But I think just for now, the social media would be the best place. And we share other opportunities that we see that are, like ours. We're not the only people doing this kind of thing. So
Yeah, absolutely. I'm aware of a couple, but I'm also aware that all of those people that I can think of are in your orbit as well. So you're probably thinking of the same people. So that's always great. I love that. I that has been a theme with the more recent interviews I've been doing with the PEI nominees that. They have a pretty good community over there where it seems like they're all just supporting each other, despite the fact that a lot of them are doing very, very similar and overlapping things and being nominated in the same categories. But they all still seem to have a very collaborative and supportive environment over there. And I like to see that that's happening all around the East Coast. A lot of times when you dive into this stuff and start seeing the background, there's some stuff that's not so nice back there. But it's nice to see that there's people like yourself out there that seem to have their heads in the right spot on why you're doing this. So I really do appreciate that you're out there. It is a big deal. And now, as far as going around the other provinces, I definitely have a similar feeling with the content that I create, despite the fact that I can sit here and do Zoom calls with anybody in the world. I do like to get out in person and bring the show around to the different regions.
Mhm.
So I've referenced Prince Edward Island a couple times. I did have some time in New Brunswick, a few occasions now, probably lapsing there. So I'll try to get over there later in the year. Newfoundland, obviously, with ECMAs over there this year is a contender. But I'm curious, where are you guys centrally based these days? You're in the Halifax area?
Yeah, we're in like on the Eastern Shore, so just outside of Dartmouth, Lordstown. Yeah.
So it would make sense that probably future opportunities are going to be localized, but I'll be keeping an eye out to see if
Mhm.
you're going to be in the other provinces as well. We might actually overlap at some time, so might be able to do a in-person interview as well and see what kind of
Mhm.
projects you have on the go. But for the current one that we're promoting here today, where can people get tickets?
Tickets are on the Sanctuary Arts Center's website. There's a link there, and it brings you to Events Nova Scotia page, and so you can buy your tickets there. The Facebook event also has like a ticket link, and it's all over our social media. It's hard
Perfect.
to miss the poster, but yeah, it's on the Sanctuary Arts Center. So the actual website is sanctuaryartscenter.com. And there's an events calendar, and that is where you can get tickets. And so that's on March 7th, and the show starts at 7:30, and I think doors are like 6:30. So
Amazing.
yeah, it's a beautiful venue. So it's a converted church, and there'll be the pew seating, but then we also have some standing room, general admission show. But yeah, it's a beautiful stage, beautiful sounding venue.
I've heard wonderful things about it. I haven't had the opportunity yet, so I'll definitely have to get out there at some point. And I do know that some of the people that are floating around have, as I mentioned, overlapped my show. But for any of those artists that happen to be watching this to see what we were talking about, if you've not been on, feel free to reach out. If you have been on, let's get an update from you at some point. So all of the wonderful ladies that you have on that bill are invited for a future feature here as well. And I'd like you to come back at some point in the future too and give us an update on what you guys have cooking because I am very excited to see what you're doing as an organization in general. Because every time I hear about a new thing that you're doing, I'm like, that's really cool. I can't believe that that's happening. It's not just ideas that somebody's talking about they'd like to do. By the time I hear about it, you already have the wheels in motion. So I definitely am a big fan. So I very much want to hear what's happening in the future, and I hope you have all the success in the world. Anyone out there that's just learning about this for the first time, try to get out there to the event, and if not, follow along online. There'll be plenty of opportunities to support this in the future too, I'm sure.
Mhm.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And if I get the opportunity to stop by for a visit at some point, maybe we'll give another shout out on what you have going on in the coming months.
Yeah, that'd be great. We're always kind of looking to expand our music community. That's kind of I guess that's kind of the reason we started it is to
Yeah.
be able to provide these opportunities, not just to youth, but to emerging artists and maybe folks who've been left out of the equation when it comes
Hmm.
to some of those music opportunities and having access to new people. And I think one of the things that we love to see after these camps is um, the kind of relationships that are maintained after, and people keep writing together or they're reaching out for tips on production because especially the youth, they get to see, like, we're producing some of these tracks during the camp, so they get to see
Hmm.
that side of things as well. So seeing those kind of professional relationships continue after the camps has been really cool to see artists expand their own music communities. It's really, really rewarding.
Yeah, being what I do, you could imagine that I love the story behind the creation of everything. So, from a storytelling point of view, it's nice that it's all optimistic and there's a lot of success there. I love to see a story that doesn't necessarily have people that are suffering all along. You're giving some opportunities to people, giving them a leg up. So continued success for all. And like I say out there, anybody that hasn't had the opportunity, please go and check out those artists and support everything that Funk Island Lab is doing. And we'll definitely be following along too.
Great.
So thanks everyone, and we'll talk to you soon.